Hello and greetings. My name is Simja Lempinen and I work as an environmental engineer for the Finnish-Swedish Transboundary River Commission, which deals with the questions of the border rivers between Sweden and Finland, which are River Torn, Muonio and Könkämäeno. I think that transboundary cooperation is of utmost importance for biodiversity protection because animals, fish and birds do not care about national borders. The River Torn happens to be the most vital salmon river of Europe and of the whole Baltic Sea area. The salmon of River Torn is known to migrate far down south into the southern Baltic Sea in its feeding phase of its life cycle, and it crosses several national borders during its migrations. Now at the moment, in the beginning of 2024, there are many offshore wind farm projects spread out over a large geographical area, all the way from the Gulf of Bothnia down to the southern Baltic Sea, and they are found in several countries. And there seems to be a significant political incentive to build plenty of offshore wind power in the Baltic area, springing from the EU. The problem is that not a lot is known about the potential impacts of offshore wind power on migratory fish species, and especially not in the delicate and exceptional conditions of the Gulf of Bothnia, where the salinity is very low and it's quite shallow in many parts. As the development seems to be happening in such a large scale, it becomes extremely challenging and complex to assess possible impacts on migratory species such as salmon, considering the combined and cumulative effects. As the salmon of River Torn is a shared resource in the sense that it is fished by the countries of the Baltic, the responsibility for its sustainable use and protection should also be shared. The Baltic nations have agreed to cooperate to build plenty of offshore wind power in the Baltic, for example, through the Marienborg Declaration. I think it is very important to also cooperate for a proper holistic impact assessment of the offshore development as a whole in the Baltic area. It would be a shame to, in the worst case scenario, sacrifice biodiversity because of ambitious political energy goals. And in fact, we have seen this has happened in the build-out of hydropower after the world wars, when the big salmon rivers of the Baltic were built out with dams for the hydropower. Most of the wild salmon stocks of the Baltic were completely wiped out because of this, and it was realized after it was built. Now, I hope that the TRANSNATURE project can create some visibility for the need of transboundary cooperation for the protection of biodiversity and migratory species. Especially for the Baltic salmon, I see there is a great necessity for cooperation. And thinking about the offshore wind power development, it's necessary to move forward slowly, to make proper research and assessments on the impacts, and especially on the cumulative impacts, so that we don't risk sacrificing biodiversity in the name of saving the climate. The precautionary principle should be the guideline in the strategic planning of the Baltic Sea as a whole. I hope that a holistic assessment can be made for the whole of offshore wind development in the larger Baltic Sea area before building starts. That is, to consider all the projects in all the countries as a whole. And hopefully the TRANSNATURE project can help to bring light on the need of cooperation for biodiversity protection.